so I got to sit close so the speaker can hear me. The Wraith 1986 should, of course, be a remake. And there's two reasons why Jamie should not be the Wraith like car, or it could be the Wraith car, but there's two things about Jamie I don't like. First off, he's simply having sex with Packard's girlfriend. Whipty freaking do, right? And also, it never said that he was a car enthusiast or into cars in any way. So, again, that's why it should be his little brother. It should be his little brother Billy, who works at the burger joint, and that's the only thing that's different. And one night, Billy is out at the Rock, where everybody would go to drink as a teen. And Billy's like 16 or 17 in high school, but one day he's out there, maybe even drinking, thinking of Jamie, who died. And all of a sudden, out in the desert, those lights happen and the car is formed, and he goes to investigate what those lights were doing, and he sees the car and the door opens. So this movie is like a mixture of Christine and the Wraith. And so he gets in the car just to sit in it for a second, but the door closes and he can't get out. And he's like, what the hell? And this is the first time we as fans get to see the interior of this alien car, which would be awesome. And anyway, the gas pedal floors, and he has no choice but to steer this thing. And basically, the car is forcing him to gain a relationship with the car. So he's sitting there scared to death, trying to steer his way through the desert roads. And it might even somewhat lead him into the city, where he actually has cops all over him. And for some reason, on the cop cameras, on the dashboard cameras, they don't actually record what the vehicle is. It looks like a blur on the street whenever police later on watch it. So no cameras can catch the Wraith car on film. But anyway, the kid is shitting his pants, Billy, the whole time. He evades the cops. He's doing drifting. He's figuring out that this car is the best. But eventually it leads him back out of the city, and drives him around in the desert some more, and he realizes this car, it kicks ass. And we find out, and so Billy, it drives Billy home. Like, he loses control, and it drives him home and opens the door, and he's like, what, am I supposed to get out? And the door closes and the car leaves, and he's like, wow, that was wild. And this is where, and the next morning, you realize Billy is a mechanic, and he's a racer. He's a drag racer on the weekends. And this town doesn't just have one gang. It has like several gangs. And there's hundreds of people that are into the drag racing, car racing scene. And every weekend they have get-togethers in parking lots and the hopping cars and everything. It's a big car show thing, lifestyle in this town. Anyway, he tells his friends at school, and they go, dude, you must have been on drugs. But the car comes back the next night. He gets in it, and the car takes him over to Augie's house, the first victim. And the windshield, Billy's like, what are we doing here at Augie's house? I know who Augie is. He's part of Packard's gang. What am I doing here? And the windshield shows what's going on in Augie's house. It shows Augie like shooting speed or heroin. And Billy's like, wow, this car kicks ass. This windshield kicks ass. But then all of a sudden it shows what Augie's part was in the death of Jamie. And it shows him, and all the other people in the video are blurred out. But he sees Jamie die, and he knows Augie was in the room, and he's like, wow, whoa, I didn't know this. And the car takes him home, and he goes to his house, and he's kind of like, why would the car show me that? Like, what does that matter? And so, he gets a little mad. Like, over the next couple of days, he doesn't get in the car, and he comes across Augie, and Augie gives off hints that he's a violent guy, and Billy starts to notice it. So Billy goes, you know what? If that's true or whatever, I'm going to make Augie's life miserable. And so the car pulls up one night on the weekend, and it drives him to the races, or he drives to the races. But and also the suit, I forgot that the suit will climb onto him when he's in the car. It'll just crawl over him. and the helmet and everything. And at first that freaked him out, but now he gets used to it. Every time he gets in the car, the suit appears on him. Well, when he goes to the race, he gets out and he thinks he's going to take his helmet off and show everybody that he's Billy Hankins and this is his badass car. But he can't get the helmet off. It won't come off because it's protecting his identity. So he gets pissed and he goes, okay, and he points at Augie and says, me and you, let's race. And Augie and everybody at the place is like, look at that badass car. And look at that funny guy who can't get his helmet off. But he races Augie and they go way out into the desert or whatever. And just like in the movie, but the car loses control. Billy loses control and the car slides to a stop, doing like 140, 50 miles an hour, slides to a stop. And just like in the film, Augie comes around there and Billy looks over and realizes he's going to die. And boom, there's that explosion. Augie goes off the cliff. The Wraith car reforms. Billy's in there going, holy smokes, I know I just died. What happened? And how come my car's fine? The door opens and he gets out and he walks over to the edge and sees the burning wreckage and goes, oh shit, I just killed this guy. I got to get out of here. So he drives home and gets out of the car. And this scares him so bad he won't get back in the car. And it pulls up every night outside his house. And then one day he gets beat up by that at one of the drag races. He just goes there in his own car a lot of the times. And that football player guy, I can't remember his name, from Packard's gang, like ends up beating him up. Or I'm sorry, no, he gets back in the car and it takes him to that football player's house. And the football player, it shows what the football player's part was in the killing of Jamie. And he goes home and he goes, I'm not going to kill him. I will not use this car. This car is helping me kill people. So he doesn't get in the car for a few weeks, but he goes to the races in his own car. At some point, that football player guy ends up getting into a confrontation with him over something stupid and beats him up. And now he's pissed. And so a couple of days later, he goes, I'm not a murderer, but maybe I can like just win a race against this guy and start to make Packard's gang look like pussies or whatever. But that was a mistake. The car again kills that football player guy. And this whole movie is about his character arc, is that he goes from a sweet, innocent Tom Holland kind of kid downhill. He slowly, by the end of this, becomes a full cold-blooded murderer. And I was just thinking that would be a cool arc for this innocent kid. But and everything happens the same in the film. Everything else is the same. It's just about Billy learning about the car. As for the shotgun scene, before I wrap this up, the car takes him to Packard's warehouse, and Billy's like, "What are we doing here? There's nobody to race." And and it shows him what Skank and the other guy did to Jamie. And so he goes, well, those guys don't really race a lot. They're just mechanics. So what do I do? And that's when the Spa's shotgun appears in the center console. And Billy goes, I ain't going to go in there shooting people. I'll race them maybe, but I'm not going to go shooting people. And so the car takes him home, or he drives home. But he gives it some time and he goes, you know what? He takes that shotgun out of the car and puts it in his car and drives out to the desert with his friend. And he shows his friend and says, look at this badass shotgun. And the friend's like, wow. And they go and shoot cans with it. Boom, 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 boom. And it like never runs out of ammo or whatever. But his friend's like, wow, where'd you get it? And he's like, I told you, dude, this is this badass car. So anyway, I don't know if his friends are allowed to see the Wraith car or be in the Wraith car with him at all. But who knows? But anyway, the car takes him to Packard's warehouse, and he goes in there for the fun of it and starts blowing away their cars just to scare Packard and his gang. And he realizes that they all had something to do with Jamie's death. So now he's and when he leaves, he's laughing to himself. He's like, that was cool. And he might have even gotten shot, which scares the hell out of him. Like one of those guys might have had a gun in that warehouse and shot him, but the suit protected him. So he realizes now that the suit and the car are immortal. And anyway, that's the end of the shotgun scene. He puts it in the car and it disappears into the console. And he can ask for it anytime he wants. But the rest of the movie, it ends just like he goes and kills Packard at the end. And of course, there's only two ways. And he gets the girl. He gets the Cheryl Finn girl. But he there's only two ways to end this movie, I think, and the most cliched way is that he has to destroy the car to gain some of his soul back after what it did. The other option is the car never comes back after the gang's dead. Perhaps he sits at his window waiting for the car to come back, and it never does. And that's kind of a lonely, depressing ending, right? This guy's now a cold-blooded murderer, and the car will never come back. You know, you could do it a couple different ways, but anyway, that's my idea for Wraith remake.